This natural fertilizer makes my flowers grow like crazy. It contains everything flowers need. I can use it on any plant in the house. My plants have finally stopped getting sick, and their roots have strengthened. The flowers are beautiful and healthy. Thanks to this fertilizer, potted plants have large green leaves. It increases the number of buds and shoots in flowering plants. This homemade mixture contains all the essential elements: potassium, phosphorus, calcium, silicon, zinc, and others. To prepare it, you'll need rice and either a blender or a coffee grinder. Start by making rice flour from the rice. Meanwhile, get a jar ready. Put a teaspoon of rice flour into the jar. Add 1 teaspoon of sugar. Heat 500 milliliters of water. Pour the hot water over the mixture in the jar. Close the jar and let it sit for 3 days. After this time, strain the mixture through a fine sieve. Dilute it. Add 500 milliliters of water for every 100 milliliters of fertilizer. You can save the rest of the jar's contents for later use. Now, water your plants with this mixture and wait for the results. Add it to the seedlings. Just 1 tablespoon is enough. It contains potassium, phosphorus, and calcium. In addition to that, you'll find about 30 trace elements in its composition. It strengthens the seedlings, making them less susceptible to diseases. It provides essential nutrients. Additionally, it repels pests. It contains calcium, which ensures proper root growth. Thanks to this, the seedlings can absorb all the necessary nutrients from the soil. Phosphorus positively affects flowering and fruiting. Potassium improves the bushing of tomatoes and cucumbers. It strengthens resistance to diseases. All of this is contained in ordinary wood ash, so don't throw it away anymore. You can prepare an ideal fertilizer for seedlings from it. It is suitable for watering young tomato and cucumber seedlings. With one addition, it has even better properties. Pour 1 tablespoon of wood ash into a liter jar. Pour water over it and mix. It can be rainwater. Add 1 tablespoon of vinegar. Vinegar will increase the acidity of the solution. It will improve the absorption of nutrients from the ash. Leave it for about an hour. You will see it gassing. Bubbles will appear inside the jar. Stir and water the seedlings. Feed smaller seedlings with a syringe and water larger ones. Water these seedlings. You'll manage to strengthen them before planting them in the field. You'll speed up the development of roots, shoots, and leaves. You'll fortify the young plants. They'll be more resistant to diseases and unfavorable weather conditions. To prepare it, you need a few products that you surely have at home. To start, about 10 grams of onion skins are enough. Transfer them to a jar and pour about a liter of hot but not boiling water over them. Close the jar and set it aside, preferably for 1 day in a warm place. The next day, strain the liquid through a sieve lined with gauze. This liquid alone is rich in many nutrients and minerals such as potassium, phosphorus, and magnesium. To this water, add 1 teaspoon of dried yeast and 1 teaspoon of sugar. Mix it and leave it for 2 hours. Yeast is a source of B group vitamins. It also contains magnesium, phosphorus, and potassium. Before watering the seedlings, the fertilizer should be diluted in 4 liters of water. Water the seedlings with the diluted fertilizer. You'll strengthen tomato seedlings even before planting them in the field. You can use this fertilizer once every 10 to 14 days. Even frail seedlings will become strong and healthy. I fertilize hundreds of plants with this. Tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, and other vegetables, but also potted flowers and those in the garden. And it is actually cost-free, a whole pitcher of fertilizer for basically peanuts. Sounds great, right? It has potassium in it, which is important for flowering and fruiting. It additionally has phosphorus, calcium, and magnesium in it. It reduces the development of pathogens. It protects the seedlings from rot. Currently, the briquette, as it is referred to, is increasingly used as a better alternative to fertilizers. It can increase yields by tens of % compared to lime fertilizers, for example. Briquettes are compressed coal dust. At the very beginning, take the briquette and break it into small pieces with a hammer. Do this in a bag so that the crumbs do not spill. Now the fine briquette sifts through a strainer into a bowl. You only need the contents of the bowl. Take a pitcher and pour half a liter of warm water into it. Now pour in our briquette. Mix it thoroughly. Another good alternative instead of fertilizer is coffee grounds. Pour a spoonful into the pot with coal and mix. Leave our concoction overnight. On the second day, add 500 milliliters of water. Pour our concoction through a strainer. If you've already done this, you can pour out liquid into a diffuser bottle and spray the plants without any problems. In addition, twice a month you can water your plants with our concoction. You will see the effects for sure. If you do this, your lettuce will be twice as big in a short time. You can start planting it in the field as early spring. Lettuce grows quickly and seems to have modest requirements. However, you might not always enjoy beautiful heads of lettuce. While frost doesn't harm it, something else can significantly limit its growth. Lettuce needs a lot of nitrogen, like all vegetables in the early growth stages. It also needs a lot of calcium. Therefore, it's a good idea to use eggshells for fertilizing lettuce. Crushed into a fine powder, eggshells can be sprinkled into the holes where you plant the lettuce. Eggshells are also useful for protecting lettuce from snails. A layer of crushed eggshells is an excellent deterrent for them, but there's another thing that fertilizes the soil and simultaneously protects the lettuce from snails. Wood ash. Just sprinkle wood ash between the lettuces. It will serve as a good fertilizer and a barrier against snails. With these methods, your lettuce will form beautiful heads and won't be eaten by snails. If you have snails in your garden, you can get rid of them. Spray this all over the garden, and the snails will disappear. This natural mixture will repel these pests. Additionally, it eliminates aphids, caterpillars, and deters ants. If you have a garden, you are surely familiar with these pests. Snails can destroy crops as they enjoy cultivated vegetables and fruits. You probably know that you can protect your crops with methods like using ash. Sprinkling ash around plants creates a barrier that stops snails. Another method is using eggshells. A sufficient layer of eggshells spread in the garden will also deter these pests, though you need a lot of them. Remember that coffee grounds can also be used in the garden like ash and eggshells. But today, I will show you a mixture made from them. Add 1 tablespoon of ground coffee or coffee grounds to 300 milliliters of warm water. Caffeine repels snails and other pests. Next, add 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. Garlic is rich in sulfur and allicin, which snails and many other pests dislike. Finally, add 1 tablespoon of mint, either fresh or dried. The essential oils in mint are excellent for repelling ants and snails. Mix everything and leave it for a few hours. Then strain it through gauze or a coffee filter. Dilute with about 3 liters of water. Use this mixture to spray the borders of the garden, paths, plants, and vegetables. Use it regularly, and you'll see that snails won't be as eager to visit your garden.